from Monday. We talked about Ilias Garcia, the Mount Sac sprinter, who competed last weekend. His time got reported out as a 9.88, although no times were listed on the official meet website. We were waiting to see, hey, is this going to get picked up by World Athletics? Is it going to get picked up by any other statistics service? And World Athletics, as of yesterday, has him leading the men's 100 with 9.88. Direct Athletics, TFIRS, still has it listed as a no time. The meet itself has marks for a lot of events. It didn't used to have any events, but it has a lot of events, but not in the 100 or 110 hurdles. Those are still blank. So I was a bit surprised to see this get added in. Now, here's the good news. I think he's running this weekend. So we're going to figure out pretty quickly what the situation is with this athlete. Again, important to reiterate, not his fault. He just ran as fast as he could, and that's what was reported. So, hey, you take the PB when you can get it, and if you can be a world leader, why not? My question to you, Gordon, what time would he need to run this weekend that would cause you the most confusion at this point? Because if he runs a 10.4, okay, it's settled. If he goes and runs another 9.8, we're like, oh my gosh, we need this is a guy. This guy's a world championship threat. But what to you would be in the gray area where you're still scratching your head about how quick he is?
I know this might sound high, but in my mind it makes sense. But if you run sub 10:10, if you would run like 10:08 or 10:09, win legal, I would be like, maybe it was real, because typically the best sprinters in the world who go on to run 9.8s and 9.7s and 9.6s early in the year, they run 10.0 something. You know, like you look back at a lot of like those Florida early season meets that some of the top sprinters are running. They're all running 10.03, 10.08 as a season opener before they start getting into their sub 10 form a few months later. So if you were to run 10.08 or 10.09, even though it's not that fast comparatively to his 9.88, it would give you pause, because you'd be like, well, that is a time that typically elite runners run at this time of the year. And, you know, it'll make you...
Yeah, but in this case, he would have already run the elite time. I get what you're saying as an opener, but then you're asking him to go back in time and run a time that's 0.2 slower? How would that line up?
It just lines up in my head. That's how it lines up.
But if he's already run the 9.88, how do you go backwards and run a 10.08 and be like, yep, that makes sense. He'll eventually get down to 9.88. Apparently, he's already been down to 9.88 already.
Yeah, he could have had a bad start or something like that. I just think that his baseline needs to be sub 10.10. Like if he goes out and runs 10.2, then you know that it was all a Fugazi. I mean, we know it's a Fugazi, but if he runs 10.2, you're like, all right, he's a 10.2, 10.1 guy. He's already run 10.16.
That's what I'm saying. He's already run 10.16, so that doesn't like a 10.0 something wouldn't surprise. I would need something closer to. I'd need a sub 10. Basically, I would need a sub 10, or some sort of weird situation where he's into some insane headwind and you do a conversion and it works in that way. What do you anticipate he's going to run?
I think he's going to run like 10.18.
And then,
what do you think he thinks?
What does World Athletics do?
Well, eventually they're going to take away the result. That's what World Athletics is going to do. They're going to be like, oops, pretend you guys didn't see that. World Athletics can just pull it. Oh, that wasn't real. Sorry about that. No one's checking the website.
It surprised me that he didn't.
I think the main question is, one, first of all, we should try to get him on the pod. That would be fun, especially if he goes out and runs fast. But two, does he think he's a 988? Does he think he's a 988 guy? Like, is that what he like? Does he go to bed? Does he have dinner with his family or with a significant other, being like, you know, I'm a 988 runner. I'm the fastest man in the world.
Man, I'd be screenshotting it all day long.
I guess, has he tweeted, has he Instagrammed that he's the fastest man in the world? Let's find his Instagram. Let's do a little look. First of all,
those of you listening, not watching, Gordon is going to talk you through
Instagram profile.
Right now.
Oh, wow. So look at this person. He's calling out the haters. When you run fast, people always question and criticize. keep running it back enough to shut them up. Ooh,
Mm,
been there,
all
done
right.
that. True. So he's. I mean, if you look at his Instagram story, there's a lot of dashes at the top. So he's definitely been going through the internet
Mhm.
and seeing what's going on. So he
The
thinks it's
dashes
real.
correspond to how fast you ran that weekend. If you have a ton
Yeah.
of dashes, I can tell you how fast you ran. If you have barely any dashes, you ran bad, DNF, DNS, something like that.
Wait,
So
is he going pro? That's what this says. Did you just turn
that's
pro?
probably is that a is that an April Fool's thing? I don't know what's going
I
on
don't think
anymore.
so. It's from 16 hours ago. He went pro. Holy
I
crap.
don't know. I don't.
Did he go pro? I think he
Not
went pro,
sure.
maybe. I
I'm
mean,
reading these. This
maybe we'll just never know. Maybe he's just gonna retire in the sunset and be like, I'm forever the fastest man in the world. I'm pro
not
now.
a bad, not a bad move. Not a bad move in my opinion. End on top. That's the way to do it. I'm
He
not
might be
sure.
pro
I'm
now.
not sure. I hadn't heard anything. The person talked to who had some information about what was going on over there was that he was going to run this weekend. So we'll see.
I think this is real. I
Um,
think he's going pro. He's forfeiting his JUCO eligibility and will be turning pro. Congrats. More details to follow.
well, congrats to him then.
All right. So, hey, maybe that's a reason to think the 988 might be legit. Man, he's the most interesting athlete right now in the month of April of track and field of all time. Like, if you had to take a power ranking of
Yeah, yeah,
April impact performances in the history of April,
yeah.
he's definitely up there. That and Michael
Well, in
Norman's
this,
like 43 second at Mount Sac.
yeah, this is building all sorts of anticipation for Saturday. He runs on Saturday. It's going to be must see. People are going
Where
to
does
be
he
just
run?
refreshing that results page. I think he's running at Azusa, but the Mount Sac schedule has them at another meet. But what I had heard was Azusa. I'm assuming there's a meet at Azusa, but that's what I heard his next scheduled competition would be. There's a schedule. Travis is just doing a lot of work here, pulling up all this info. Is there anything? Yeah, Jim Bush Legends meet. That's I don't know if that's Azusa. I mean,
No,
at the
that's not
very least, I
Azusa.
think
That's UCLA.
that's UCLA. Yeah, I think at the very least he's going to be at Mount Sac, obviously. Mount Sac relays.
Well, if he's on
So
Mount
at the
Sac and he
very,
runs a relay, you can hide the split again. So,
I think he's going to run.
dude, he has a great
He's going to run.
dude. I'm learning so much about this guy in real time. Great Instagram handle, Lil Too Smooth. It's great Instagram.
Mm-hmm. All right, so keep
All
an
right,
eye on it.
I'm kind of leaning on maybe it's real. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up this morning with 100% belief that there was a fraudulent world leader on our books right now. But now, 17 minutes into this podcast, that thought is kind of fading a bit, and maybe the
So
98 is
hold on,
real. All because of
hold on.
his
What
Instagram
was?
stories of him going pro, him talking shit on people who are doubting him. And
Mhm.
I want to be on his side. It's fun. It's fun to just live in the la la fairy tale land that the 988 is real. Because how cool would that be? If it is real, how crazy would it
Yeah.
be that a random kid from Mount Sac Junior College, who
Hmm.
from Las Vegas, Nevada, your hometown, Kevin, and
Yep. Yep.
like all this, and like everyone has doubt on it. The internet's kind of saying it's not real. He had these weird false starts in his outdoor 60s. What if the whole story turned out to be real? It'd just be great. And he
Oh, it
does
would
the
be
performance on April
incredible.
Fools. It's great. It's great.
Plot twist. Next race, he goes 9.78. Then what do we do? Then what happens?
No, the real plot twist is he does
9.88
978.
baseline.
He does 978, but like you can clearly tell he false started and you can clearly tell they stopped the clock early, but we just continued to go along with the grift. We're like, no, it was 978. And we just like he's in cahoots with all the timers, and forever everyone just knows it's not real, but no one will say it. And then we just like,
Yeah.
all right, no, I don't know.
It's
Hey,
track. You figure these
World
things out.
Athletics is calling him a 988 runner right now. So
Well,
until
and
that changes,
that's
I guess we have to believe him, right?
and that's where if I was him, if I were his coach, I'd be like, yeah, the governing body of this sport says it's legit is legit. Don't argue with me. Go look at the website. It's right there. once it got no, once it got put up there, everything changed with how the time is perceived. Now, again, they might change it later on, but they didn't have it at first, and now they do. So David says the real proof that the 988 is suspect is all others in the race improved an average of 0.22 on their entry times, all of them. What are the odds?
The odds
Was it exactly
aren't
point 0.2?
good.
I did see that. I
I'll
did
tell you
see
that.
that. Was it everybody that had 0.2? I saw the first couple. Was it literally every single person was an improvement of 0.22? Because, yeah, then you're talking about, I don't even know what they would be. One in
I know.
a
It's just
one
sometimes
in a
it's fun
billion.
to believe the lie. That's all I'm saying. It's fun to believe the lie.
I don't think we should call it I don't think we should call it a lie. I think we should call it an error. It's an error.
Okay, it's fun
I
to
don't think
believe
anyone's
the air.
lying. Yeah, no one's like lying here. It's just the time got reported as best they could. Once it gets out, people start repeating it, and then you have the governing body in the world putting a stamp of approval on it. But I don't think there was any nefarious intent here in terms of what happened with the time.
Do you
But you're right.
think
In
the
terms of
time?
April storylines, this is up there. This is a great early April situation that we have.
Do you think?
Okay, so he
Yeah,
signed
this
with an
is.
agent. This is
Yeah,
with yeah. Okay, this is
yeah.
legit.
That's what I
We're
was
putting
saying.
the picture up right
He
now
went pro.
where he signed with an agent.
Here's the thing:
So that
if he gets a pro contract purely on a made up time, that is the ultimate. You know, not grift, but it's the ultimate like, hey, get what you can moment. I don't know. It's just kind of hilarious if he's able to parlay a fraudulent 100-meter time into a contract. That's pretty badass. Hey, get your money,
okay, so
man.
everything
Take it.
wasn't. I'm looking.
Take the
I'm
money and
looking at the
run.
comments here. It says the minimum improvement was 0.16, average was 0.22. So not everybody was exactly 0.22. That would have been obviously unbelievable at that point. Um, okay, well, you know what? Maybe. So do you think? I mean, how much does this is a silly question, but is the 988? I mean, 988 is the thing that gets you the contract because I don't think a 10-1 is getting you the
Yeah.
contract.
No. Yeah. Of course not. Unless this contract could be kind of a fake contract, similar to the time where it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you some shoes and a t-shirt, and now you're a pro. There's a lot of those contracts out there that aren't legitimately pro contracts. So
Mhm.
maybe his pro contract is 0.22% less than
Or
what it
maybe
should
it's
be,
pending.
or it's
Maybe
pending. Yeah.
maybe maybe there's a clause in it, right? A clause in it that says, "Hey, this is the first step, and then if you go under 9.9 again or under 10 seconds again, then." I'm just envisioning again. Good for him. Get a contract, get paid to run. That's awesome. That's a dream come true. Go for it. But I'm just imagining the scenario where this weekend he runs 10.2. Then what happens?
Okay. How about this? What if he runs 10-2, but he beat Ronnie Baker in the race?
Well, yeah, that's legit. That's obviously
Yeah.
legit.
But Ronnie Baker could be also in cahoots to like, yo, I'll show
No,
up.
let's go.
I'll lose to
There's
you
not this
to
many conspiracies
legitimize your
going on. There's
988.
there's not this many conspiracies going on. I think Occam's razor here tells us that there was some sort of error with the time. But again, once Word Athletic says it's legit, people are going to start believing it. You know,
Well,
again,
World
not
Athletics
taking
is
anything
just
away
wrong.
from him. Well, I'm not taking anything away from him. Obviously, even 10-1, legit talent. It's just that big of a jump you don't see. All right, let's move on. What do we got next? You want to talk about? Oh, a thing, Mo. Hold on a second before we do that. Travis just sent us something. Oh, you want to read this, Gordon?
Yeah, well, it's a long paragraph, so hopefully you didn't put any uh, statements I'll regret saying. But he said since they didn't use an actual timing company, since they didn't use an actual timing company, it was just done by the school. His guess is that they had an error at the hundreds and the hurdles, basically the straightaways, and they had to go to hand timing for those races, and then likely had people on the watches who don't know how to do that correctly and started to watch when they saw the athlete move instead of smoke from the starter's gun, which aligns with the video evidence. So basically saying they handed out popsicle sticks at the end of the finish line and like, all right, you got first, you got second. It's cross country style.
Well,
probably what it was.
but my question is, doesn't I wonder what World Athletics does, or I wonder what the people, even agents out there who are curious, like, do they ask those sort of questions? Like, do they call the timing company? Do they follow up? Do they say, hey, why aren't these times listed on your site? Does any of that take place? That's what I would want to know.
Yeah, because I think it would be. Imagine if he runs like 10:01 and 10:05 like the rest of the year and consistently. Like
Yeah.
that's a good runner. That would be like someone
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
should like be making USAs and stuff like that. But then you're like, all right,
Hmm.
but he has a 988 on his resume, which is the fastest time in the world. I don't know. We're talking
Well,
about
right,
this in
and that's what I.
circles. But
No, no, but I think that's a good point because in track, small amounts of time are a big deal. So this is what I talked about in This Week in Track. You're basically talking about the difference between if you go 988 to 1016, you're talking about solid JUCO runner versus a guy who could medal at the global